Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everyone, for this hearing. This is a question to either Dr. Prasad or Dr. Kesselheim. A 2019 study in the Journal of American Medicine Association looked at 15 years of medical marketing in the U.S. and found that there was a 70% increase in healthcare marketing from 1997 to 2016, including a massive increase in direct-to-consumer advertising and promotion to physicians. Clearly, this enormous surge in marketing and advertising provides a benefit to the companies. They wouldn't do it unless it led to the sale of more product. Clearly, it has to be part of the story with respect to the increase in price if there's been this incredible surge in marketing and advertising spending. But my question is it a benefit to the healthcare system as physicians, as folks, through your conversations with colleagues, does direct-to-consumer advertising provide the kind of benefit to patients that the companies would have us believe, or is it just a benefit to their bottom line and a contributor to the increase in cost?
Thank you, Senator. The answer is no, it does not benefit the public, doesn't benefit patients. There have been studies of whether or not marketing is associated with better prescribing of medicines or more appropriate use of medicines. And there are no studies that indicate that this marketing improves the care that patients receive. So it is something that patients are paying for, and we are all paying for. And in the end, it is driving, in some cases, prescribing towards more expensive medicine. So we pay for it multiple times, and there isn't a demonstrated benefit of pharmaceutical companies providing information either directly to consumers or to prescribers.
Dr. Kesselheim?
Sorry, I agree with Dr. Prasad. I think that there is I think that one of the things that direct-to-consumer advertising does, and I can tell you that as a primary care doctor, is it brings people to the office asking about medicines that they saw on TV, and usually the medicines that are being advertised are the most expensive, and they may not offer improvements over other therapies that aren't being advertised. And so, while direct-to-consumer advertising can alert people to the existence of drugs, it does drive prescribing practices in ways that aren't evidence-driven.
And just to give a sense of how much of the cost of the drugs may be determinative of the advertising spend for these companies, there's another study suggesting that for the big pharmaceutical companies, as much as 19 cents of every dollar, nearly 1/5 of all of their spending, goes into advertising and marketing. In my remaining time, Dr. Kesselheim, I was intrigued by the time that you spent in your written testimony on the question of comparative effectiveness. And I wondered if you might sort of give us some suggestions as to how the United States can do a better job of making sure that we are getting a true bang for our buck. Other countries spend a lot more time making sure that they are only paying for drugs that are substantially better than other products that are on the market. This issue is fraught with peril because for many folks, a 5% increase in effectiveness or the promise of a potential 20% increase in effectiveness, they're going to want that. They're not going to want the government deciding whether or not they get access to these drugs. But it's an enormous amount of money that we all pay for when some drugs are only getting tiny incremental increases in quality or effectiveness. What's your recommendation for how we proceed on this topic?
Well, Senator, I think this is an extremely important issue. And unfortunately, in the U.S. system, we do not invest nearly enough in doing the type of comparative effectiveness studies that we need in order to determine which drugs are better for which patients. And really, this is the best way to empower patients to make decisions about their care, is to say, look, we've done the studies and we know that this drug works X amount better. Here are the side effects you have to weigh. And, let's between you and your physician, you can make a decision about about the best way forward. So unfortunately, we don't have enough of that. And what I would suggest that we do is invest more money up front in the same way that we invest money in basic science in generating this information, because it will actually save money on the back end, because pharmaceutical companies leverage the lack of information in their promotional practices to encourage, high cost drugs when lower cost products may be just as effective. And then what we do is we just pay, many times more on the back end. So if we had more comparative effectiveness research and evidence up front, then we would be able to help guide prescribing practices in the best way forward for patients.
So it doesn't necessarily have to lead to drugs being on or off a formulary, just that information available to prescribers may end up in better care, better practices. Appreciate the answers from both of you. Thank you.